Hi, YouTube. Glenn here from FG Landscaping. As the title today says, today I want to chat about our journey on setting up a gardening business in Ireland and how that unfolded and ultimately how we got there. I'm going to try and keep this short. I'm not going to go into too much detail, and if you do want other information that I haven't disclosed, then do let me know. I'll be upfront and honest with everybody. And I'll try and keep it too short, short enough, but not. But again, I don't want to. I could talk about this for hours. But so just to force you introduce myself, I am Glenn, and I co-own a business in Ireland, a gardening business called FG Landscaping. I also before that though, I had a background in IT finance, and I'd done that for the last 15 plus years, and then the gardening business came about. To go back to the early stages, so I always loved gardening. Even when I was a teenager, 11, 12 years of age, I would go around the housing estate where we lived at the time, and I would bring the push mower and I would be knocking on doors and trying to make money and get business. And it did. Myself and my friend at the time, David, we ended up going around, and on some days we could make 80 pound, 80 euro a day, and that was 12 years of age. That's a lot of money, So that's where it all sort of started, if you like. But then, obviously, then as time went on, I ended up moving on and starting the career I started. As I said, I came from IT finance, and then, however, I always sort of I always loved gardening. I always loved lawnmowers and all that equipment. It was something that I was always passionate about. I also always grew vegetables, and I always liked plants. I always kept a wide range of roses, and all that was sort of I'm no botanist now. I'm not a botanist. But I do have good knowledge and good understanding of plants and lawn care that I've accrued over just the years of experience and interest in the area. But anyway, to go back to how FG Landscaping was formed, we are just over 3 years in business, and we were set up really 3 years ago with an idea. Myself and my founder at the time was out, and we were having a meal, and we decided, why don't we try and focus on and try and set up a business. And something that we both mutually sort of agreed on, that we both had interest in, was a gardening business. And really from there, I went home that night, and I built a website. I bought a domain name. Following day, I registered a company. And that's sort of ultimately how it happened. As for the website, as I said, I did have an IT background, so I managed to go in and build that and make it look somewhat presentable and professional. And that's what we done. I then, once the website was live, I went and got some ads marketed. I done as much. So obviously I have also a Google business profile, and we tried to grow it from that sense. And we only had a small budget per day for Google ads, not much, a few euro. Because again, we didn't know if we were going to get work or if really the business was going to grow. So we did, as I said, we registered the business, and then I think about a week or two afterwards, I got a call. And this was really how I think FG Landscaping took off ultimately, and how we managed to grow. So I got a call from a woman in the Meath area, and they wanted several of the properties looked after every week for the growing season. This was a big commercial client, and they had several properties in the Dublin Meath region, and they asked if this was something that we could do. And again, this was, we were shocked. I was shocked that we had got this interest, this work. And so she sent me on the air codes of properties, and she said, if you can go out, have a look at them, see how much you want to charge. And I'll have to be quite honest with you though, guys, I had no idea what to charge. I really did not. I tried to look online and see like if there's some formula that I can use for charging. And anyway, we went out and partner and I agreed on a price for doing these gardens, and as I said, it was 6 and they wanted to be done every week. I sent the person back the quote and she happily agreed. Myself, my partner, as you can imagine, we were completely over the moon. We could not believe it, for a small business like ours that had literally only been set up a few weeks. We had got this huge contract and it was extremely well paying. And then, the problem was, the reality kicked in, was that, okay, so we have no van, we have no trailer, we have no ride-on. And the only thing we have is really cheaper sort of residential stuff, domestic equipment that we have from our local home stores here in Ireland, which isn't really going to last, like the commercial cutting or the size of these plots. Some of these gardens, by the way, are 1.5 up to 2 acres of lawn to cut. So again, she accepted our price, and then after that call, we frantically tried to. Part of that obviously is that we had to supply liability insurance. So I frantically called up insurers, and we managed to get liability insurance for the business, and I sent that on to our contact in the business right away. And then from our point of view, we were all safe and good. The next problems we had was vans, and ultimately what equipment, ride-ons, we don't have any of this stuff. So we borrowed some money from a bank. We initially borrowed, it was about €10,000 that we borrowed, and that ultimately allowed us for that fourth season to buy a Jeep. We bought a Jeep, an old Santa Fe, which I think we paid at the time about €3,000 for. We bought a trailer, a 6x4 trailer, which we got on a website, a second-hand website, for €800. And we bought a Honda. We bought a Honda 2417 ride-on lawnmower, and that was €4,750. And that's like, we had, I myself personally had a strimmer, and we had a blower, but that's what we done. We literally had got that contract, and then we frantically tried to, okay, we've secured the contract, and now we have no equipment, we have no vans, we have nothing to do it. So we, as I said, we got the loan, we managed to buy the equipment we needed, and it was amazing. It truly was amazing, and we were extremely fortunate and blessed that we had that opportunity. And I'll say this, guys, just from my point of view, some of you may or may not agree with me here, but people talk about work hard. Work hard, yes, certainly does. It does have a big impact on whether you're going to be successful or not successful, but I don't think anyone can deny that there is ultimately a stroke of luck that plays a huge part, because you can be extremely skilled and talented, but if you don't have that luck, you may not get noticed, and really for us, we felt it was the right place at the right time. And that client that we don't work for, we still have today, over 3 years on, and that really was how we got into it. We were extremely lucky, and I'll never forget it. And I've always been appreciative and always thankful of the client giving us the opportunity. Of course, they didn't realize that we were not possibly as big or as good as maybe we presented we were, but we were a two-man business at the time, and as I said, we had to frantically go out and try and buy all this equipment so we could in fact do the job. Throughout that first summer of cutting, as I said, there were 6 sites a week. The ride on the Honda 2417, which I could only say good words about, that first season, it was a very good machine. We did not have any issues with it. it was really, really good. To give you some context of just how much hours and usage you were putting on the machine in the few months that we were doing the job, I think we actually started the work at the end of May and we finished in September. By that period of time, we had over 100 hours of cutting on the lawnmower, so it was really being used so much. I mean, don't forget, it was only a domestic ride-on and we were using it for commercial work. But it was amazing, and the big thing that we loved about it was the ability to switch between mulching and collection, which I believe it's probably one of the only ride-on lawnmowers that can do that so quickly without some form of other attachment. And we loved it. It got us through it so well. Now there was times where, due to our own fault, the belt ended up coming off and we had to bring it back to the shop, and that meant some weeks we unfortunately were cutting 1-2 acre plots with 2 push mowers. That, I can tell you, is hard work. We would be all day, a day and a half, cutting that plot with 2 push mowers. And at that time we only had, as I said, cheaper sort of domestic push mowers. The first time when the ride-on did break due to a belt issue, it was actually something that we done that caused the issue. I had to go back to the house and I had to get the residential domestic mower that I had at the time, and I ended up going out to one of the gardens and trying to finish it, and even the mower that I had literally could not finish it. The engine was literally burning out as I was trying to cut the garden with it. And they're just some of the things and the stories that I just want to say. But the point that I want to try and get across here, guys, is that, you know, it's never too late, or it's never you should always try and do what you want to do, you know. And don't always look at the videos, guys, on YouTube and think, you know, you'll be rich doing this, or that is, yes, I mean, so some companies do extremely well, but they are the few companies that do. A lot of companies, like any new companies that set up, don't survive the first year or two, you know. But if you love what you do and you're passionate about what you do, that will go a long way to trying to get success, you know. And ultimately, success is different, you know, to everybody. I'm not talking about financial success, but success in what you do overall, as in you are self-employed, you get to work for yourself, and guys, I'm not going to lie, that is difficult and that is tough. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. You know, it's so easy to go and have your PAYE job where you get your guaranteed money every week or month, when you have to go out and slog and work and grind and try and, you know, make your own money. It's very hard, you know. It really is. Trying to make, as a self-employed person, 50,000 a year is a lot harder than getting a 100,000 a year job as a PAYE earner. It is tough. It really is tough. But the rewards and personally, I believe the benefit, if that's what you want, are so worth it, you know. But that is really a quick synopsis of how our business came to fruition and how we are here today. And as I said, it has been greatly down to luck. And from there we have, you know, word of mouth has spread, and we got other commercial contracts, and the company and business grew. But it can be tough though, guys, you know. And one of the big things that, you know, if you can, please subscribe and like this video, and I will share over the coming weeks and months, is difficulties of dealing with, you know, commercial clients, and then that issue of, you know, trying to get your payment on time every week or every month or whatever it may be. That can be tough, guys. Following up with people to make sure you get paid, that can be hard. But that's really what I want to say today. As I said, I'm already a little gone overboard and sort of spieling on here, but I do hope you've enjoyed the video, and I do hope I've given you possibly some idea or some food for thought if you do want to go down the road of trying to be your own boss or trying to set up your own business. I will do another video, guys, and on actually the specifics on, you know, on setting it up. But at the minute, I just wanted to give you our story and how that planned out over the last 3 years, and ultimately how we got into this business. And it's fair to say that I as I said, before that I came from IT. I was 15 years, and I did leave this. I did leave that career behind me to go full time, but it's never easy, and sometimes people also, it's difficult for guys to know when is the right time to do that. I would always say try and make sure you have sufficient work. You know, when we set that up 3 years ago, I had a job, as I said, and I would do this part-time, and I'd done this for part-time for a few years until we had sufficient work there that could pay the bills when I ultimately left my PAYE job. And that, you know, I would always say to anybody that's looking to do this, you know, leaving your job right away to do your own business without any guarantees or contracts or leads, it can be extremely risky, you know. So just bear that in mind. But you know, if you do have the right marketing and the right approach, and if you do try and present yourself to the most professional way you can, you will ultimately get work, and your business will grow. But hang in there, you know, it's tough, it's hard, you have to grind, you have to really try and capture customers. But again, I will discuss all this in the future videos, and we can try and get into more detail of the nuts and bolts of the business. But until then, thanks for all for watching, and please like, subscribe, and I'll see you all on the other side. Bye bye.